All right, we're ready to start bending the front windshield bow. Got a 6-foot piece of the 1/2 by 1/2 tubing. Use the pattern for the F bulkhead. Got it bolted down. Got the center line marked. Got another piece bolted a 1/2 inch away. We'll start pulling this back to make the hoop for the windshield, and then we got to make a couple of flares out on the bottom once we get the top bent. And they have the pattern for 1/2 of the bow in the plans, so you just bend it and match it up to the plans, match it up to the width of your fuselage, and you should be good. Just back and forth to the plans. I'm keeping track of where it needs to be bent a little more. Just bend it a little bit at a time. Okay, there's the rough bow. Just worked it around. I did bend it a little too sharply there in the beginning. Don't bend it right around the form. But it wasn't any problem to straighten it back out. Then you come down, you've got a jog there. I marked that on the plans. Bend that out a little bit and then start bringing it around. The bottom line right there on both sides is where I need to cut it off. You start with an oversized piece and then get it bent, and then you can trim off the extra. And I put that on the fuselage. That looks like right there will be about right as far as width-wise. So we'll cut that off. Leave a little extra to sand down, get the angle. And then we can move on to the actual skin. And there's what it looks like. Positioned on the fuselage. Now, just got to make that skin. Okay, since this instrument cover piece goes like 3/4 inches in front of the B bulkhead, I wanted it to be straight and rigid. So put a piece of plywood on the back, sandwiched it together. Now it won't flop around. So now we need to make some templates out of poster board, and then we can cut the aluminum. Okay, I took 2 pieces of poster board and stuck them together with some double stick tape on the long edge. These things originally are 28. They're 22 by 28. So the 28 length should get front to back, because it's like 25.5 plus the 3/4 that hangs over the B firewall or B bulkhead. So I fit it one time with it hooked together. It's about 42.5 by 28. And I fitted it on there once, and I'm going to cut. Brought that in 3 inches on each side. I'm going to cut it at an angle like that where it goes over B, because you got a lot of excess there. And we'll try fitting it a little more again. I have no idea how this is going to work out, but I've got this tapered down at the edges a little bit. Tried to fit it around there. Well, it needs the hole cut in the middle to kind of get an idea of how it's going to go. The plans say that the front of the hole should be 8 inches from there. That's the 10-inch mark where they should come up on the sides. So I marked it like that. And then made some straight lines coming down. And so I'm going to cut out this section here and try putting it back on there. Okay, I've been playing around with the pattern a little bit, trying to get it fit on there, but I really needed the hoop so I could figure out how to contour it through there. And there's just too many parts to hold in place. So I built a couple of little angled pieces out of just some scrap. Now that puts the hoop at the proper 110-degree angle. The distance from the other bulkheads is right. So that should be exactly where the hoop needs to go. So now it should be a lot easier to fit that skin on there. I hope. It was fighting me. Well, this has been a bit challenging, but I think I'm finally ready to cut some metal. I ended up, the pattern, I'm going to have to make some modifications to the pattern because you can see right there, it wasn't long enough on the sides. The problem was I had it tilted down a little too much to where the lines didn't flow from there to the other bulkhead. So I had to rotate everything up on the back edge. But everything else fits good. I measured the windshield dimensions. It'll come down to about here. So that cutout should be fine. The dimensions from the front to here are correct. So what I need to do is just mark up this template to where I add some more the metal back here and taper it up to there. Same deal. You need a 3/4 inch overhang here. I'll bring it and come out further here when I transfer this piece onto the metal. And then once I get the metal on there, it should be a little easier to work with. The poster board doesn't do too bad because it's like the aluminum. It doesn't want to be bent into compound curves. It'll show you if you've got something like that going on because it won't want to form around it. But it's also a lot flimsier, so if you like tape down one section, it'll pull other stuff out of alignment, where the aluminum will be rigid enough that it won't do that. But I think now I'm going to get out the roll of aluminum, transfer that over, and start cutting. Time to cut. I think it's going to work. It actually fit on there pretty good. I need to trim down just a little bit right there. It's running a little high. Looks like it. That's no problem. It fits good everywhere else. Pulls right down to it. It's looking good around the bulkhead. This side here, got extra everywhere I need it. I think what I'll do right now is I'm going to mark along the inside of the bulkhead, and then I'll move a line 3/4 of an inch out. I'll trim this excess off, and while I have it off doing that, I'm going to go ahead and drill into the tabs on the bulkhead. So then we can match drill through the skin, get the bulkhead cleat down, and then start working down the sides and then to the bow. Figure I'll do the bow last because the bow can move if necessary to do, you know, there's a little bit of wiggle room with the bow, especially since I'm not putting a canopy on it. Now, it mentioned in the plans, that's a little off track, but if you were building the ultralight, instead of building an actual instrument panel, put your instruments in the top of the bulkhead. I was a little skeptical in the beginning, but I think looking at it now, that might work just fine. Right now, going to start drilling, clecoing, and trimming. Clecos are in, fastening to the bulkhead. It's actually staying put like it should. Once I get the holes drilled on the sides, then I'll measure down to the hole, make a straight line, trim the bottom off there. Then we can work on the hoop. I am happy with the way it's turned out so far. It's all clecoed around the perimeter. And we got a lot of overhang on the bottom. Like I was saying, I'm going to take this bag off. Now that I've got a straight rivet line, I'll go down below that rivet line and cut that off. The way it ended up, I also need to trim a little off there to make it match the other side. Need to trim a little bit here just to make it look perfectly symmetrical from the front. It's not bad. Little bit off. But that's okay. That's why I left extra. I am done as far as I can go for now. Got the hoop in there. Got it cleat-coat on both sides. Everything fits. As far as I can tell, just like it should. I cleaned up the edges, except for the one right here. Haven't messed with it yet because it says to trim that out once the windshield is installed, or at least fitted or whatever. So you'll know how far back to trim it. But yep, I am happy. That looks good. Well, the next video, I will be probably cutting out the windshield to make sure it fits over that like it's supposed to. Make sure I haven't cut that hole wrong, and just see what it looks like. I do have the windshield material in the box here behind me, and the plans have a template, half of a template, so you can cut it out. So I'll go ahead and probably make a paper one and then cut it out for real, and I don't think I'll fasten it to that yet, but I at least want to set it on there, shape it around, and see what it looks like. So be watching for that video. Catch you on the next one.